So we all know that you plant seeds in spring. Things you kind of thought about over winter, you then start in the spring. But some plants, some things, some people, more than others, require a cold germination, which means they are seeds that need to be planted in the fall. Their magic concentrates under the surface in the darkness, in the cold. And maybe that's where you're at right now. Are you in the void right now? This is where we're at collectively. We have all of the outer planets shifting signs over the next 2 years. All of these planets going back and forth between the void degree, the anaretic degree, 29th degree, and then back to 0 degrees. That void degree is highlighted. Those of you who are in touch with moon cycles know that the void of course moon phase is when the moon is transitioning between signs. The moon reaches that 29 degree of a sign right before it shifts into another. And it's like that last little bit of incubation before something is birthed or pushed out or transitions into the next sign. We're all in the void collectively. Of course, a lot of us individually. There's no easy way through it. It's inherently dark and mysterious, but the void is where all of potential exists. Creative potential. The void is the container for creation. And in there could be some chaos, right? When a caterpillar is in its chrysalis, it has to completely dissolve and disassemble in order to reassemble in its new form and emerge as the butterfly. So that's where we're at. We're still in this dissolving, especially represented by Neptune and Saturn and Pisces. And these planets are going to be transitioning into Aries, going back into Pisces, and then back into Aries over the next couple of years. So again, we are going from the formless to the formed. And the new forms are based on more autonomy, individuality, self-assertion, inspired action, inspiration. In this transitional void phase we're in, we're emerging out of the ego more and more and out into the world as individual souls, as individuated aspects of consciousness. We're getting more in touch with that part of us. And from that point, from that place of autonomy, our unique vibrational matrix that we bring into this world, energy that we ground through the configurations in our charts, as well as just our authentic soul gifts and desires, all of that emerging as truth, as light, which then unifies and connects with others. And that's where we're headed, is the focus on the individual souls that then align to one another and create groups. That is the future. Our future is dependent on us knowing ourselves more, getting into our authentic energy, our authentic nature. It's so important so that we can align with others and do the work that is needed to uplift all of humanity. The focus is coming back to humanity, what it means to be human, but from a spiritual lens, to understand that we all co-create this reality. And there are powers that be, of course, that try to manipulate and keep our consciousness focused on certain things and keep our vibration in a certain place so that they can continue to dictate reality for us. But we need to break this hamster wheel that's been going on for thousands of years now. As Polybius, is that his name? He came up with that whole idea of like the cycles of civilizations, and all civilizations are doomed to kind of fail or die. The cycle of a civilization is the same as a human life cycle. There's this birth through a strong leader. Once it becomes fully grown, it becomes corrupted. And then chaos ensues and everything breaks down. And there's like these different aspects of the cycle. And, apparently the United States is in the oligarchy and demagoguery cycle, where we have these strongman leaders coming out to manipulate things, and we have corporations running things behind the scenes, and this is all very corrupt. And the logical conclusion is for it to be dismantled. And this happens over and over again, and it always ends with destruction and falling apart. And I believe that we're going to be able to overcome this cycle by bringing the focus back to the individual. Because the problem with this cycle that's been played out for centuries, this invader, dominator, victim, abuser, colonizer, colonized, the problem is that we give our authority away. We give our authority away to celebrities, to influencers, to politicians, to religious leaders, teachers, parents, whatever. Instead of getting to know ourselves and getting in touch with our body and allowing our soul to guide us. We all have a North Star, and we need to tap into that more and more. And the identity labels are not so important, and I think we're going to eventually get away from that. You know, even me as a non-binary person, like that label wouldn't matter so much if people just accepted that there is this fluidity. I think where we're heading, everyone is going to be so different. Like the labels are going to continue to break down, kind of like genres of music. How niche can these subgenres get before we just say, oh yeah, all music's a little different, but it all like comes from other things. Everything abstracts on itself. It fractals out to the point where you can no longer say that there's even categories. There is just seemingly infinite variations of expression, kind of like language. There's only a certain set of sounds that the human body can make, but there are seemingly infinite combinations that allow us to have over 600 languages and like thousands more than that if we consider dialects languages. So in terms of expression, whether it is through language or music or gender or whatever, it's seemingly infinite. So the point is not the label. The point is that we need to get in touch with our authentic selves, and we need to express from that place, because that is true freedom, is living in our authenticity and guiding ourselves and not looking for that external validation or externalizing authority and letting people dictate for us. That's what's going to end this cycle, and bringing the power back to smaller groups. People grouping and gathering based on their values rather than these identity things that we've been stuck on. It's like these kinds of people vote for this party and these kinds of people vote for that party. All of that is going to be broken down by us bringing the authority back to ourselves and living authentically and realizing that, oh, it doesn't matter what people's identities are or what labels they have. It's all about values and how we can unify with values. Kind of went off track here, but my whole point in talking today was just about, what are you planting? What are you planting in this void space over the next, year and few months? What are you planting in this time of void space? Literally now in fall, right? What are you going to plant to be cold germinated? And also, what are you cutting away? Because this is also a season of cutting away, right? I mean, that's like every fall. It's like cutting away what has died to make space for next year, like tilling the soil. So what are you planting and what are you cutting away? And is it coming from a place of fear based on what you're seeing externally? Or is it coming from a place of this like deep inner knowing and authenticity? Because in this period of chaos, in this void stage, there's so much potential for creation. Never forget that creation can happen out of and during destruction. And that is so empowering to think about. If institutions and various things break down, what can you create out of that? And if you don't know what you want yet, maybe it's you that's cold germinating. Maybe you need to fully embrace being in the void and stop trying to figure it out. Accept your current circumstances. Really face that reality. And perhaps something will emerge. Some deep inner knowing, some breakthrough will occur. That's where I'm at. I'm hoping for that breakthrough. But for now, fully accepting that there's nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to escape to. I just have to sit in this moment of not knowing and literally face that I can't run away. And maybe that's been a tendency of you too, is when things get confusing, you rip the cord out of panic. It's like a knee-jerk reaction to just like, I just gotta change something, just gotta do something. You weren't formed into a butterfly yet. you broke out of the chrysalis before you were actually ready, just to go back into another chrysalis and fully dissolve again and then restructure again. It's like, I know me personally, I've been in this cycle of like, seemingly it feels like I never fully form into that butterfly. It's like on the way to forming, there's usually challenge that arises, and my reaction is like, oh, this must not be right, so I have to like rip the cord, I have to bolt, I have to change everything completely. That just means that it can never fully form. So I'm taking it upon myself right now, as we are in this collective void space, to fully embrace it, not try to figure it out, sit with the discomfort, the feeling of something's wrong and I don't know what it is. I feel like I need to change something and I don't know what it is. I feel like something new is emerging and I don't know what it is, and it's scary and I don't know what's coming. Fully being in that space and accepting that, and just trying to lean back onto my spiritual tools, which, you know, when the going gets tough, sometimes it all flies out the window. All of my mantras of, you know, redirection is God's protection, and, you know, all of those kinds of things, they just go out the window, and I just panic. I don't know what's going on. I'm a failure. Nothing feels right. I gotta change something. Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? I don't want to do this, but it feels like all of that, just ruminating, rapid firing through all possibilities. But what if I just... What if I just go be a dead tree in the woods? What if I allow the silence, allow the space? Cold germinate.